Hi.
Hi.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Caitlyn. I am a research assistant on Empower at the Mental Health for All Lab. Before I get started, would love to thank Laura and Katie for supporting this workshop. So one of the things I really love to do is be a translator between non-technical and technical teams. My background and research background is primarily in tech policy and mental health, so I really enjoy working with interdisciplinary teams to create responsible innovation. Today, we are going to talk about an introduction to generating images and videos, and I made a ton of slides, so I really should get started. So just as a brief overview of what we're going to discuss, we're going to have an intro video just to watch what is possible. We're going to go over key terms, some interactive activities, and learning how to structure good prompts for your general workflow, creating images and also creating videos. So I hope by the end of this, you'll all have like some ideas for how to integrate AI into your just weekly life. And I hope this is like a good facilitator of conversations amongst us, so don't feel like it's a traditional presentation. Before I get started on that note, make sure you have a laptop or your phone near you because we'll have interactive components throughout. So just make sure it's in arm's reach. So I'm going to start off with some key terms that you'll hear throughout this. I understand it might feel kind of jargon heavy, but this is a non-technical presentation and workshop. So again, it is just to facilitate ideas for how to integrate AI into your workflow. And at the end, we'll talk about some safety considerations that you might be interested in. So one of the first key terms is a large language model, or LLM. An LLM doesn't necessarily need to be a chatbot or conversational agent. For example, it could be something integrated within Google search. So one of the more popular examples of an LLM that is widely used is a model called BERT by Google that was implemented in Google search in 2018. So before 2018, you used to just look something up on Google, and then natural language processing would pair your exact terms in the search engine to what you were trying to look for. Nowadays, with BERT and other LLMs integrated into Google search, when you search something in your search engine, it not only gives you outputs that are related to the exact key terms you were using, but it gives you outputs related to the context that you are asking it to search for. So the difference between the general field of natural language processing and LLMs is LLMs understand the context of both individual words and phrases. And a conversational agent, or better known as a chatbot, is an application that uses a large language model. It basically puts this beautiful UI on top of this very complex tool, so everyday people without a technical background can actually utilize something like a large language model. So you can use natural language, really whatever language you speak in, to utilize this technology. Another form of AI that utilizes large language models includes image and video generators, which we'll get to later. So a generator for this context turns text into either images or videos. And then prompt, the term prompt is any type of text instruction that you give to a generator or a conversational agent. So if you've ever used a tool like Perplexity or ChatGPT and you type anything, that is called a prompt. And it's really an art form of how to craft a good prompt to get what you want. So just to kick things off on a more imaginative kind of note, I just screen recorded this video from YouTube last night that shows like two different outputs for both a platform called Midjourney and then another platform called VO3. So there are two different platforms that produce both images and videos. So you'll see them side by side, and you'll also see the prompts that went into making these short videos. So all the prompts will be shown at the bottom, and then the outputs are at the top.
Can you read them? I think some people will not be able to see from the back.
This is a bonsai grows on dead wood. This is a Jeep going through a desert. Yeah, I would read them out loud, but the video is really fast. So I hope that gives you like kind of a high level overview of where this field is for the everyday person.
And this is what you're using or will use to make the social determinants of health videos too for everyone. Yes, yes. So for the purpose of the later half of this presentation, I'll be showing outputs from Midjourney because that's the current platform I have a personal subscription to, but VO3 is kind of like the leader in video generators right now, so we're trying to get a subscription for the lab for that for Teach. Yeah. And now if you could either pull out your phones to scan this QR code or go to this website and type in a code, we're gonna kick on over to a more interactive portion. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, you can do this first. Sorry, I haven't used this in like a real life.
Can you go back to the code?
4223. Yeah, 4223 4726. And as you pull it up, I just want to remind you to please keep this tab open until the very end because we're going to revisit this later. Yeah.
Can you blow it?
I want to make sure everyone logs on first, and then I'm going to go to a separate screen to show your answers live. So did everyone log on successfully?
Yes.
I couldn't.
I'm getting it.
I see some conversation in the back. No worries. I can also enlarge it. There you go. Is everyone logged on comfortably?
Should we answer these questions?
Oh, okay, wait, one sec. Do not answer. Okay. Oh, I see people have answered. Okay, awesome. So
I was influenced by the results I saw.
Yeah.
That was what I was gonna pick anyway,
Yeah.
but then it confirmed.
That's the Delphi methodology, you know that, right? But you should maybe for the next one not show the graph.
I think she was trying to not, we
Yeah.
pressured her to go back.
see, I don't even know how many people in this room. Are there 13?
Sounds about right.
Kinda, okay. Oh. Got one
Uh-oh.
for 22.
Okay.
Okay. Wow, we have a lot of sharp minds in the room. So yeah, the correct answer is 1966. But all of these dates here are relevant to the history of conversational agents. I'm going to start off with the oldest date. So in around 1945, when World War II ended, it was the first example of natural language processing to be used to translate text to other languages. So that was all the way back in 1945. And that was to incentivize international relations after World War II. In 2022, that's when ChatGPT came out. So not much to say about that. 1966. So correct answer for the 13 of you who got it right. Here in the Boston area, or more so Cambridge, where MIT is, Joseph Weisenberg in 1996 launched a conversational agent called Elijah. It wasn't as complex as what we think of now. So Elijah was inspired by psychotherapists, actually. So it was specifically made to mimic active listening. So when a user back in the 60s used to type into Elijah just talking, it would basically just paraphrase what you were saying back to it. But so in today's framework of thinking, it's not that impressive, but back then people were so freaked out that the developer at MIT who made this, he showed it to his assistant at the time, and she was so freaked out, she actually asked him to leave the room while she started using it for mental health and therapy purposes. So he actually became one of the first advocates to create responsible conversational agents around mental health. And then shortly after Elijah was made,
Sorry.
no worries.
Keep going.
Okay, shortly after Elijah was made in Cambridge in 1972, a psychiatrist at Stanford created the second conversational agent called Pari, and Pari was made to simulate a person dealing with schizophrenia.
Wow.
So in the late 70s, these two academics from across the country actually put their models together to talk to one another. And that was the earliest form of conversational agents talking to each other. So these technologies have actually been around for like quite a while, but it really wasn't until OpenAI deployed ChatGPT to make it really user-friendly for everyday people like us to take advantage of the democratization of information. All right, go back. There you go. Okay, next question. Back to you guys. How comfortable are you using AI tools like ChatGPT or Midjourney, Perplexity?
The problem is there are two questions here.
Yeah. I was thinking.
Yeah.
Do I have the QR code?
This is kind of fun to see. Yeah.
In Mentimeter, is there a
Yeah.
setting where it won't display all the answers until you closed it, or does it have to happen live?
Or you could just open another tab and once everybody's done, you just come back to this tab.
That's what you were doing
That
before,
way.
right?
I haven't looked for that setting, so I have no idea.
No.
Yeah.
I have my pieces.
Okay, so 8 o'clock.
No, 9 o'clock.
Pretty nice to see the distribution. So yeah, you see we're all basically on the same page. Everyone's like above average comfortable. So this will make this whole presentation and workshop a lot easier. So I would love to learn from you all and have everyone learn from each other with this next question. Which of these AI tools have you tried before? Try 3. For those of you who picked other, what are some of the other tools that you would like to teach us about today?
Llama.
Oh, okay, yeah, Llama, yeah.
Elicit AI.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, that's
What's it called?
Elicit, ELICIT. It's very good for literature search.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Oh, but that's interesting. Is that the same one I read recently that there was a new large language model tool that is systematic reviews?
Yes, that's the one.
And it's a subscription only model?
No, it is. I mean, there are of course limitations, but it's free of cost available. But if you want
Because
advanced,
it was released by university, right? I think it's a
Harvard did something
consortium.
like that.
What's
I
it
went to a
called?
workshop, I don't know, I went to a workshop like a year ago about like using AI and.
But this one I just read,
yeah,
it made it look like systematic reviews
Yeah.
no longer, thank God, it's the
Oh,
most
yeah.
tedious part of all
Yeah.
research.
Was it Julia that
systematic
shared that?
reviews.
yeah,
Yeah, so maybe that's something to,
yeah.
if someone could, maybe Caitlyn, you could find out more
Yeah.
about tools that can be used to rapidly review
Yeah.
the literature, but in a
Yeah.
systematic way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Use it for welcome.
like
Yeah,
what are some of the specific functions you like in this systematic review tool?
Well, I mean, it would be like any systematic review, right? You have a search, essentially a set of search criteria, like some parameters, the dates of the search, which databases, etc. But with these models, you don't even have to set that because they'll search everything that's available. But the question is whether they're being only trained on science data or everything on the internet. My sense is the problem with the ChatGPT is it takes everything from the whole internet, so there's a lot of stuff that's really not verifiable. But these ones are actually they're the guardrail. They only use like PubMed, NLM, essentially databases that are of published scientific.
And does it show you, like, what's the confidence interval, so to speak? So I'm guessing it does the screening for you, and that's the benefit of it.
Yeah.
But then does it say like these ones were like pretty confident fit your search criteria, these ones you might want to manually check, or what's the output that it gives you at the end?
So see, it will give you a list of, all the papers,
Mhm.
and then, it will even make tables for you, and.
So it gives you the final list of
Yes,
included
it'll give you
studies
the
from the
study
beginning.
population, the study design for each paper and the outcome of those studies. So it's
That's
really
interesting.
good. It's very good.
I feel like my issue is I don't fully trust AI yet. I would feel better if it was like, here's the ones that you should look at.
Yeah,
Or like, we
because
didn't include these that maybe we should, or
But I have rechecked the papers, so they are all.
it was good.
Perplexity has one model now where it lets you choose where you want it to go and search the information for you from. So there is, of course, the whole where then there's academic and then social and like specific finance spaces that it takes from. So that way you can kind of manage where you get the responses from, and then the source of credit, like the level of credibility is of course based off of that. And it'll tell you how it thought through the process. So maybe you don't have to reach the final output. You can go to the steps instead. So you have more
That makes
control.
sense.
Leah says it's a good thing to not blindly trust it, Laura. And then she says in addition to elicit, she uses Oster or AutoServe.
Okay,
It's like an abbreviation. I'm probably
yeah.
saying it wrong, but OTTOSR. You can share with everyone.
Yeah, that's the paper I shared in the WhatsApp chat that does systematic reviews quite fast.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, we could definitely try this, as we have to do a literature review in the next couple months for our Welcome Trust project, so play around.
Cool, I wrote some notes to look into that stuff. Who's the one person who's using Claude?
I don't even know what that is.
What is Claude?
Anthropic.
What is that?
No one
I
wants to
wouldn't-
disclose. Now they're feeling like the smart ones are
good.
the only one using Anthropic.
I thought it was good though. I thought Claude was good.
It was
Yeah.
me.
I'm not the one using it. But
Oh, Julia said she was the
Oh.
one.
Oh.
Amazing.
The ghost of Julia.
Hello, Julia Ghost. Hello, would you mind sharing what you use Claude for?
It changes a little bit, but I mean, I sometimes compare results from when I use ChatGPT to Claude. Sometimes I feel that the editing is done a bit better in Claude, or it catches my style a bit better, but I go back and forth between both, basically.
I can draw it to you.
Yeah, so thank you so much. For those who didn't hear Julia, she basically goes back and forth to test different outputs from ChatGPT and Claude. So I guess Julia is a true prompt engineer, and we can get more into that later. For those of you who either want to improve your programming skills or want to just pick up a whole new programming language, I think Claude is the most popular in that regard, and it's actually trusted by a lot of different, like even PhD postdoc type of computer scientists, and it's just really, really good at that. So moving on, next question. We have 2 more questions in this session. So the answers you typed in the box will be generated up here.
don't see anything.
Is there like a text box? Oh, there you go.
Got it.
Oh. That's cute. See what my future babies will look like. Yes, that is actually a very common use case, actually.
I put that in, but I'm not allowed to upload photos of Rohan according to Rohan. into ChatGPT.
Very,
If
very
anyone else wants to do it for me.
What else? Images to support social media posts and ads. That kind of sounds like Kashmir.
Yeah.
Yeah, how dogs can help improve one's mental health. So you want to make cute dogs? Be nice. Make diagrams. Yeah. I feel like VO3 would be really good for
Oh, I
diagrams.
completely misunderstood what this was for. I'm the dog person there, but so obviously I totally misread your question. Doesn't matter, whatever, I'll follow the other people's questions.
Trick my family. Ooh. Scary.
Ooh,
Okay.
no one's gonna disclose who that one was.
Yeah.
Did you see the incredible thing about the way AI images are being constructed? I was reading just yesterday about politicians. I can't remember which election or something where they totally fabricated an entire AI driven, unless you're a computer engineer, you can't tell that the whole
Like a
thing is
video.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like,
there's some
show Donald Trump, saying I love Harvard, and seriously, and it's so believable.
Yeah.
It's so
I don't like
believable.
There's some pretty, there's all kinds of jokes and stuff online. Some of them are, I mean, they're pretty funny, like newscasters that look pretty real.
Yeah.
Interviewing people, and
But
the things they say are
imagine
totally
how this
absurd.
could be. I mean,
I know,
essentially
yeah.
it means that what you see, it's like what you read, you can never be sure on ChatGPT whether it's real, it's hallucinating or not. Now what you see, you always thought what you see is always proof, but now you can't even trust that anymore.
There are so many Instagram content creators now which are using like virtual AI models basically. So there is this there's this old lady who's very popular, giving advices to girls about dating life, and she's a AI generated actress, and the page has like millions of followers, and there are two dogs who are like talking amongst themselves. They have their own podcast. It's all AI generated, and you can't tell that like looking at those videos that these are AI generated.
There are
family is
endless
for-
channels.
So Yashika, actually yesterday's, sorry, I was mixing up two different things with the politics, but the one I was thinking of was in yesterday's New York Times. There is an entire big feature on the doctor said, take so-and-so medication, except the doctor is not real. And it was this whole story of very famous American physicians whose images have been repurposed by bad actors. And like, for example, one guy is a professor of gastroenterology in Chicago. And he is shown in this video as saying, if you can't afford GLP-1 drugs for your obesity, don't worry, because we have shown that this complete fake treatment, I mean, it's not fake, it's a real thing, but it's a fake video, can make you lose as much weight as GLP-1. And there is and he didn't even know it existed, but somebody from his faculty called him and said, hey, Bob, do you know that there is this video? Like, is this true? Are you really promoting this stuff?
That's horrible.
And that's how he discovered it.
So scary. Yeah.
I mean, so you can be impersonated. Easily.
Yeah.
If your images are on the internet, which I'm assuming anyone who has a social media site probably has their photographs, you can be impersonated without your knowledge.
What does that mean for like even like court cases in the future? Just think it would change really everything about society if that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And unless are these software able to tell fakes? Like, I mean, they are. So they're now being used to test them.
Was that whole fiasco of wasn't it the governor of Michigan they made all those videos that people thought were real of her, oh God, I don't know, it made the New York Times.
Yeah.
And people thought they were real videos of her like saying a bunch of stuff.
But she'd been impersonated.
Yeah. I have a slide at the very end that really fits well at the end about this, so I'm going to refrain from skipping, but I think we covered the discussion about harms, which I knew we would, so I didn't even include a slide about that. But going back, or here, let's see. On a positive note, what have people said? So if you can generate videos and use them for your work, for your personal life, okay, generate how-to videos for onboard, yeah, that'd be really nice. Especially since we have the capabilities to hire new RAs in our lab and fellows. That's very exciting. A video to improve the consent process in my ooh, very creative. Cool. So let's go back to the main presentation. So before you ever learn how to generate a video, you need to learn how to generate an image. And to generate an image, you should use a conversational agent. I personally just use ChatGPT. So with that being said, it all starts with a prompt. What does that mean? When you're using ChatGPT to do any task, whether it's like a systematic review or creating an onboarding doc for someone, you should really structure your prompt in a specific way. So you can't treat any type of chatbot like you would Google search, because a search engine is usually for asking questions and then you're given an overwhelming amount of resources to just dig through and read. Whereas a conversational agent was created to more so be your assistant. So you should learn how to think in a very clear structure that is good at describing what you need to a T. So in my opinion, and a lot of people who play around with prompt engineering, which is just the art form of creating prompts, think it can really help people think more clear. So it's not like a scary thing to replace you by any means, but just a true assistant. So there are many different frameworks for crafting a good prompt, and I'm sure people here could come up with way more complex ones than I have up here. But commonly referenced one is this formula right here. So one, starting with the role, the task, and the context. Is anyone here already using this formula?
I did a training where it told me to start with act as and then say what you want to be.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So kind of.
So like you can say act as a research assistant, or sometimes I say you are a research assistant or you are a assistant. And then you give it a task. So instead of saying, for example, where is the nearest airport? You would say, explain where the nearest airport is to Williamsburg. So it's more of a command than a question. You can't ask questions because the more words you have, like just the term where and the question mark is gonna be categorized into different types of thinking, whereas a statement is easier for the chatbot to then categorize and understand. So just based on this easy example of a good prompt you see on this side of the screen, the role here is you're a travel agent. The task is to explain where the nearest airport is to Williamsburg, and the context is, I just made this up, I need to leave New York on September 10th by 1 p.m. to fly to SFO. So the context here is helping it understand like traffic patterns, the time of day, the potential flights you need. So again, it's not Google search. It is really there to help your very specific use case. So going back to generating images, I did say you should use a conversational agent to generate an image. So a smart way to do this is prompt your whole task to understand like what you need to do that day. So this is like a bad example of that. Can you help me create prompts to generate images? I don't need images that look very realistic. So one, it asked a question and didn't make a statement. That's bad. Two, it included a negative statement. You want to frame everything in a positive statement. So instead of saying, I don't need an image that looks very realistic, you should say I need an animation. So that's the positive rendition of that. So this is a better prompt. So this is an example of a role, the task and constraints. So the task is to create prompts for Midjourney to generate X, Y, and Z. This is the context, what I'm using it for. And this is something I like to add on to my first prompt, which is a validation signal. So I always ask the conversational agent to confirm what I am asking it to do to make sure we are on the same page. So that's just personally what I like to do. So pretend you copied my formula and you put it into ChatGPT, whatever you're asking, it looks like this. And then its understanding of the task is like slightly subpar. So this gives you an opportunity to then ask a following prompt to reinforce a feedback loop of what it got wrong, what it got right. And then you can upload files like a PDF or an image to further explain exactly what you're asking for. And this process is called prompt layering. So not just like burdening it with a humongous prompt at the beginning. It's breaking it down in smaller tasks. So because this is for images, I inserted this image into a prompt I was using, and I asked it to describe the style it sees. And that will inform this. So what exactly I did to create a prompt for Midjourney, that's a different generator. I asked it to create a prompt for Midjourney, and then I said, use this formula for your prompt. I inserted this, and then I gave a raw prompt. So this is just a train of thought. Like, I need a woman who's looking at her computer in the middle of the day. She has curly hair. I just like describe what I want to see. So it'll transform my raw prompt into a nice prompt here. And a nice prompt for Midjourney looks like this. So it's kind of like even though this is natural language, it's not a way that you would necessarily talk. So that's why it's good to use some type of chatbot to generate a prompt for images, and you can read that there. Yeah. So I put those two prompts into Midjourney, the image generator, and I got two different outputs. So this is that first output for bad prompts. Usually when you use image generators like DALL-E or VO3 or Midjourney, you're gonna get like at least 4 images from one prompt. So this is a bad prompt because it didn't really understand what type of woman I needed and what style. Like, this is pop art, this is realism, this is just a pretty average animation, versus this is a better prompt. So I specifically wanted it in this line art style, and this is very consistent. So once you learn how to generate an image, you can then start generating videos. So if you want to make a video about onboarding or anything else that you need, that you mentioned earlier, you would first start with storyboarding. So it's just like it looks. I did the beginning storyboard for Empower. So I went up to our internship phase. It's pretty hard, or I wouldn't say hard, it's very inconvenient to get a very specific aesthetic every single time. So just to keep this presentation really short, this is very high level. And if you have an intern, this is something your intern could do, because it's very time consuming sometimes. So how do you get a very consistent aesthetic? First, like I mentioned before, you should use your conversational agent of choice to create a prompt for your next scene. So this is a screenshot of Midjourney. I uploaded the first image I created in the style reference section, and then another prompt here. And this prompt was also by ChatGPT. So it's using this style reference to create that consistent look. And then you click submit, and then you get another image. So style reference. This is with the style reference, without the style reference. So you
sorry, what was the style reference you used?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
This one. Yeah, so I wanted everything to kind of look like this line art.
But you typed in line art as opposed to using images. Or did you
Mhm.
upload the image and say in the form, in the style of that image? You could do either, I guess.
Yeah. So one of the things I did to get in the style of blank, through this whole chat, after the prompt layering, one of the things I tasked it to do was create a reusable description for this aesthetic. So like if you wanted Monet, it would be Impressionism, and you would just use that word over and over and over. But this is pretty general, so it created, let's see. This was the style. It's quite long. So it's more than just a single word like Impressionism or pop art. It's like playful line art, expressive outlines, whimsical storybook illustrations. So this is what it came up with.
But this was generated by ChatGPT.
Yes.
So you fed those images first into ChatGPT. ChatGPT deciphered what the art form was, and then you repurposed the text to write.
Yes.
But you could have just used that original image, right? You didn't need to go through ChatGPT.
No. So, oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know where it is, but remember when there was like a screenshot of uploading the style reference? You can only upload like one image at a time for a specific purpose. So it might confuse it if it's completely off base and you just want the style.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good question. Storyboarding, consistency. Okay. So storyboard to video. So you have your base images per scene. You would then go into your video generator, upload that starting frame. So you see that tiny little frame, and then you would animate manually, and it's pretty similar across different video generators. And then from there, you would then again go back to ChatGPT, put in a formula about specifically text to video. Like right here, you would put this in and prompt it to give you a specific prompt for text to video. So unlike just images where it's subject and the style of and context, this includes action and camera movement. So that's the only difference. And this is an example of a prompt I use for this 5-second video. So the subject, she sits at a desk. That's what she's doing. And then she lifts her hand, then does X, Y, and Z, after X, Y, and Z, then blank. So it's really important to put words at the beginning of your sentence to indicate some type of time frame. So you're like a director of a short film. Yeah, or at least you can pretend to be. So here's the video. Yeah, so she's typing and she looks to the left and does something with the paper. So she's going through the Empower course. Yeah. And you can continue to do this forever and make a whole entire video about Empower if you really wanted to. Yeah. So then when you have all your individual videos together, you can string them together in like Adobe or whatever, Canva, whatever you want to use to string them together. So that's that. I know I said I went over this in a really like high level way, but again, it's a very personal learning experience too. So I think this could give you at least like the foundation of like how to dive into either videos or images. Yes.
Yeah, have you tried any of the platforms where they give you like a selection of avatars and then you type in all the stuff you want it to say, and then have you tried those ones? Or it was like, because that seems like it might be require fewer prompts because they're actually like giving you the person already, and you select from like a bank. I don't know, you can choose all the different features, the the appearance of the person, but they're already like you basically choose a person you want, and then you tell it what to say, and it's like you video recorded them saying it.
Yeah.
And those look really incredible.
It's just more expensive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. So you pay out, but it's the time. It's a time saving.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to I see, have you, given the fact that you're working so closely with developing these videos for the Teach project, right? Yeah, so do you have any samples to show us of that work? And more importantly, as you, I can see from the laugh.
It is not Caitlyn's fault, but no, she just got access and approval to get the
Okay,
software.
okay, cool, not a problem, it'd be good to see that, but also it'll be good to reconvene on the quality of those videos, because now we have real people videos, many. And it'll be just great to see what is the quality difference between the two, and not just for ourselves to see this actually, to actually have the same group at Teach, because they're gonna now be presented with two different curricula, right? One different in terms of content, but also in terms of the way those curricula were prepared for video. One will be the localized version and one will be the Caitlyn version. And so I'd love to know whether
they're not working with localized for the.
Well, who's done that, the BA course?
Yeah, still
Well, that's
localized.
localized.
Yeah.
We're only using the AI for the social determinants.
No, I know, but they're doing the BA course as well, right?
Yeah.
So the same people are doing the STH as well as the BA, no? Isn't Teach about training people in the
It will be used as a supplement. So like specifically, it's part of what we said we would do for the grant for Teach.
Yeah.
So those Teach students will take Empower BA.
That's what I
But
meant.
also it could be the peer support students that
Yeah.
take social
Yeah.
determinants.
Whenever you have a situation where you can have students take both these different courses, because they're different courses, so it's not duplicating material. I'd love to get their feedback on, without any bias, right? Without telling them why we're asking that, because it's very expensive what we're doing right now. And, and of course, my belief is that it's expensive because we have a professional film company and you've got, these high quality videos. But I don't know whether that really necessarily is cost effective. If your main outcome isn't what it looks like to me, but more the learning experience for the student, which is what our main outcome is.
Well,
Does it make any difference?
That's why I would look at the more expensive softwares, just to cost them out. I think we can definitely budget for it, yeah.
Synesthesia was one that you mentioned months
That's the
ago.
one, yeah.
I did look into that. It looked, that's.
Are these sort of
Like,
one-off?
it depends how expensive, but.
Is it like a one-off subscription? How does it work?
It's usually monthly subscription,
So if you can take a month subscription, produce all your videos and just stop subscribing.
potentially.
Is there like a copyright issue though, since they've already generated all the like avatars and stuff?
I think when you pay for the, I guess we'd have to look, but I don't think so, no.
You'd have less flexibility with the design
That's where
potentially,
it's-
so that would be maybe something. we
But it could be a
wouldn't want.
time saving, especially if you're gonna
Yeah.
upload it onto Articulate anyways, right? Like it might be worth exploring. If the more expensive software is better.
I think like, oh, yes,
I have a very specific question.
yes.
But what is the reason that AI has such difficulty with limbs? I think especially
Fingers, right?
yeah,
Cannot
fingers,
do fingers.
limbs, especially with trying to get the realism style.
It's very good with faces though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Why would you
Yeah,
say that?
It's a very good question.
You can detect a video is AI generated when you look at their fingers.
Based on looking at the
Yeah, they have to look at the
movement
fingers.
and all
You can
that.
make out.
I'll look more closely next time.
Yeah.
I could have.
It's just such a small detail that's moving. Your 10 phalanges just
And have you
Oh,
noticed a difference between animated images / videos versus when you try to have it spit out realism and the accuracy of movement, etc.?
I know I played with one realistic output that I sent to John and Laura. I thought it looked okay. There's one, I closed all my tabs, but at one point I had this, there's a company that OpenAI just invested in that makes cybersecurity tools to detect deepfakes, and on their website, they have a side-by-side of Obama talking, and to me, a naked eye, it looks identical. I just truly couldn't tell, even as someone who looks at this stuff all the time. So we're to the point where we really need to be investing in cybersecurity companies that specialize in this, because you can't just have people with their naked eye do this.
Just back to empower, no, that's you, I agree completely, but back to empower and the sort of the content generation, I think also going with like a diverse range of formats, like, you remember there was that guy, and you may not know this, but there was that doctor who became very famous for making like whiteboard videos, and he used a pen. Yeah, but now AI can very easily do, he was just drawing stuff on a whiteboard like that, and you just saw the whiteboard drawing show up. But that might be also a way to mix up the videos, so it's not always like the cartoon person or the fake AI person or the real video, but because I think that's in our experience, it's nice having different content, keeps the learner kind of interested rather than just the same consistent videos over and over and over.
That's a really good idea.
Switch it up.
Because you can just get an iPad and screen record,
Well,
and that's free.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you can also ask it to just do the like whiteboard. I've seen AI generated whiteboard videos, and I mean, it doesn't matter. You just voice it over. You just talk.
Yeah.
Those are easy because there won't be consistencies of like facial, expressions, etc. that need to be kept in mind. It's just a whiteboard.
Well, yeah, it used to be an actual person
Exactly.
drawing it. We created that style. I forget his name, but it was pretty cool. It was neat. It was new, but now you could. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, and like also kind of a tangent, but like anytime you see a AI generated video that's really professional and you're just like blown away, they definitely use like several tools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's like their secret sauce, like what they're using.
I know that there are pieces in like the more legacy tools like Adobe, etc. Now they have just like plugins of these AI tools that can just go in and then cut down on the time of like creating videos and also add their own AI generated pieces into it. So because they're experts who are creating them, it just very seamlessly sort of just plugs into their work overall, makes it faster and also fills in gaps that exist in not having, video shot by them, but created by.
One I saw that I thought was actually pretty funny, but they did an AI version of Bob Ross. Does anyone know Bob Ross?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they thought it was pretty good. The guy who paints the little landscapes. Yeah, but you wouldn't even know. It looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Could we like maybe test like a sample one with the community health workers when we go to Dallas in October? I don't know how long it would take to create like 30-second, maybe like preview of what you're planning to do. But just so what Vikram was talking about, like showing the community health workers and kind of seeing like what they resonate with.
Yeah. Just like I guess an explanation. So the first video I worked on, I don't know why I chose this topic, but essentially the TEACH curriculum is about social determinants of health, and as you know, there's many different determinants.
Yeah.
I chose one that out of context doesn't sound very good, because you know how all of them are just systematically entwined.
Like, sure.
So I hate to show them out of order.
Oh, fair, yeah.
Yeah, so I need to think of a way to
it would have
create
to
a good example.
You can do one lesson.
Just like,
Yeah.
just a little taste for them to kind of see visually what it would look like.
Yeah. I can even like, we can talk about this at a different point too, but I can also like finish the video I was doing now to like have a video of Empower and like just finish the storyboard that I made for this specific presentation.
Yeah, for sure. I think that worked too.
It's very non-offensive. Very easy. Yeah. So anyways, this QR code was mainly to talk about what excites you and what scares you. And I think we kind of just went over that. So thank you for actually responding. So yeah, I guess, one of the big elephants in the room regarding specifically images and videos is deepfakes, whether it's funny and it's about Bob Ross or it's about a politician interfering in elections. There are a lot of threat actors out there. So you might ask, what's being done about this? It's disrupting our whole political environment. Very scary. So from a US context, I'll go over that. So there are different responses from different types of disciplines to just try to mitigate these threats. So the main federal regulation that we have in the United States is called the Take It Down Act, and it is solely around removing non-consensual intimate images for women and children. So that was implemented and passed this year. So any person who has a deep fake of them that's not something they want up, they can go to this website and request to have it removed, and companies have to follow this act. And then there is a second pending act that was proposed this year, just earlier this summer, called the No Fakes Act, which essentially just authorizes companies to protect people from replicas of their likeliness or voice. But the likelihood of it actually passing in the United States is kind of low, but maybe I'm just pessimistic. But like one of the reasons is around the American way of free speech. So a lot of very influential companies like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is a nonprofit very influential to tech policy, is actually against this act. And yeah, we'll see where that goes. So because we love states' rights, we also leave these responses up to the states. So there are 47 of our 50 states creating policies addressing deepfakes, but looking at the 47 states that actually have policies around this, it's usually around protecting people from non-consensual intimate images. So it doesn't really protect, for example, politicians or your average person from replicas with their likeliness. And then even looking at these 47 states further, usually these policies are only protected around minors, not adults. So.
What are the three that don't?
Huh?
What three states don't have any laws?
New Hampshire, I'm guessing.
Nevada, probably.
Alaska, I know that obviously the District of Columbia is not included, but that would count. Alaska, somewhere in the Midwest.
Probably like a Dakota or something.
Yeah, this website in my resources is actually like a live updated list of all of them. But when I read things like this, I always remember that people recognize state boundaries, but the internet doesn't. So one can argue like what is, what role does state regulations have in all of this? And then the third bucket that's important is self-regulation. So self-regulation includes companies setting their own internal policies because they know their technology is best, and guardrails and transparency reporting. And this is also a response to the inefficiencies of state regulations in the United States. So one can say that this analysis might seem political, but from a tech policy perspective, including self-regulation in the actors relevant to this whole conversation is very apolitical nowadays. Even looking at academics or policymakers from outside the US, like across the EU or Australia, these three different actors are seen as equally important, especially considering this summer there was an executive order about the AI action plan. And if you, I see some heads nodding. One of the things that really stood out to me about this executive order is that the federal government will not fund your state if they have too many regulations. So that is a nod at California, which has like the most regulations around deepfakes. So what are companies' responses? I know from talking to people at Meta, for example, who work in the industry of setting guardrails for this exact issue, they're being forced to move to places like DC because they have no regulations, and therefore Meta would get more investments from the federal government. So things aren't really looking amazing, but it truly is up to just your average people in academics or civil society to be working with companies to set self-regulation and abide by other countries or nations' policies, such as like the EU. So one quote about self-regulation that I always come back to is displayed here. This is from the former dean of Harvard Law School, Martha Minow. She was the dean up until 2017. So my recent two publications were on self-regulation and responsible AI deployment. So I just continue to come back to her work. And where does this leave us? So as someone who researches responsible regulation, basically the stewards of the future will include so much more than just public servants because they work so slow. So it really lays on the shoulders of academics, civil society, and technologists. So if you ever have a chance to deploy a product like this, you mean so much to the development of policies and safeguards. So I hope that gives you a sense of agency. And reflecting on what I mentioned in the very beginning of the presentation around computer scientists being inspired by mental health professionals, I think it's really only fitting that mental health professionals be continuous voices in this space. But yeah, if you want to look at the full slide deck, it's here. And yeah, thanks so much for listening.
Thank you, Caitlyn. That was so interesting. Lots more to be learned about this, and I'm hoping that you'll keep us updated as you develop your skills and then teach us how we can use these appropriately. Okay, so we have a 10-minute break.